Easy. Take her easy. I got you. Take her easy.
All right, creatures of the night. Welcome to Talking Taker, episode 203 of our encyclopedic exploration, digging up the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time, The Undertaker.
There he is.
My name is Alex Dorio. I want to thank you for joining us for yet another round of Dead Man Talking. And I am joined, as I have been for these past 203 episodes, by my tag team partner, my wrestling buddy, my fellow creature of the night. He is the man who had no idea what he was signing up for 5 years ago when we started this podcast, Mr. Travis White. And Travis, can you believe it, my friend? As my shirt says now, available at the T Public Talking Taker store, we have officially, as of this month, entered a half-decade of destruction.
That's insane to think about, man. That is crazy. 5 years. 5 years. 5 years. 5 years. 5 years. That's nuts, man. Yeah. Which means it's been that long since he's been, we thought, retired. And he just got retired. So it's crazy. So, yeah.
Let's not forget that. We originally started this podcast because we assumed The Undertaker was retired. And here we are 5 years later, 7 or 8 matches later, a documentary series later, a Hall of Fame speech later, now a one-man touring show later, a Netflix movie later. All of that has happened since we started the podcast. And we're going to reminisce about that a little bit, about the past 5 years of memories. And tonight's going to be a little bit of a hodgepodge of an episode. We don't have a full theme. To be completely honest, we had an idea and we kind of pushed that back to next month because we're going to have an extended session of Undertaker sightings tonight because, boy, it's the Talking Taker curse. You know, as soon as we drop an episode, there's guaranteed to be just a flood of Undertaker news that takes place. And so much so happened in July that we got to spend a big chunk of it, analyzing it here tonight. But then we're also going to talk about August is typically SummerSlam month. It's happening in July this year, but August is typically SummerSlam month. And we ran this tournament on our social media pages on Instagram and Twitter to discuss the greatest SummerSlam match of The Undertaker's career. So we want to talk about those results and sort of kind of analyze his entire SummerSlam history, because when you look back at it, you could say Undertaker is Mr. SummerSlam. He has had so many legendary matches at SummerSlam. We're going to talk about that legacy. And then to celebrate that 5th anniversary, we've got some fan Q&A, some listener Q&A that we are going to do. We did this one other time. We took some questions from the fans. I thought it'd be fun to do it again. That was a while back. So we're going to do that here tonight. And we'll just see what happens here on this 5-year anniversary episode.
Call it in the ring.
We'll call it in the ring, son. I do have a special guest for us, Travis. I was able to book a special guest coming into the show. I got the Undertaker himself. He's right here.
Is that the Wobbledygooger?
The Wubble Rumbler.
Yeah, there he is. The Eggman.
All right, that's a joke just for our YouTube fans right there.
Yeah.
That's why you got to check us out on YouTube, folks. Video version of the podcast.
In the closet. I got to find the little blower upper thing and inflate him a little bit more. So my kids did play with it. Yeah. Love it.
It's pretty cool. Pretty neat.
Yeah.
I do have one other thing that I have to start our 5-year anniversary with, though, Travis. Special reveal. I'm not in my complete outfit. I got my new shirt on, of course, tpublic.com, but...
Don't stand up.
Don't stand up.
You're not in your complete outfit.
I'm not Porky Pigging it, man. But as we talked about this was a thing that happened during our 5 years of this show. Famously was in an eBay bidding war. I didn't know it at the time, but ended up being in an eBay bidding war with friend of the show, Randy Turco.
Yeah.
Famously a couple of years ago. Well, Travis, to celebrate the 5-year anniversary of the show, to get ready for SummerSlam as well, which we are attending, I had to become a member of the Undertaker Hat Club, my friend.
Oh, wow.
The original 91, 92 Undertaker hat. I had to get me one and finally mark that off the bucket list, baby.
That's wild, man. That is insane. Thing looks good.
It's in nice shape.
It is. It is.
Go.
Look at that. It's got some great font.
It fits like
Where did I recognize that font from?
Good question. It fits like a
awesome,
hat
man.
from 1991. You know, something about those hats. They're so tall and like crooked, like brand new. It's like still a little bit crooked, and
there's not a lot of quality control back then.
Real high on the head, no matter what you do.
It's like were heads deeper back then?
Every hat from back then is like that. No.
Yeah. I think human heads have gotten shallower nowadays. I don't know.
Our grandfather's heads were much taller.
Yeah. Well, I think these old guys wore hats like they just barely set it on their head.
My grandfather still does.
Yeah, there's
still
like this much
like this
head. Yeah. Oh, it's wild, man. I gotta have a hat.
Let the head breathe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently not.
I need like a yarmulke with a bill. That's what I want. It's just something snug with a bill. But yeah.
Were those the original hats? Or yarmulkes the original hats?
Maybe. That's a podcast for another day.
That is a podcast for another day. Well, now that I've got my fit on, now that we're ready to go, now that we're ready to enter the next decade of destruction of this podcast, half decade of destruction.
Half decade.
Yeah, excuse me. Let's talk about it, man. Let's get into our Undertaker sightings. We got to start there because, like we said, so much happened in the month of July. You see him? Is he out there?
I was just looking for. What is this? He used to do that thing. Anyway,
folks, you gotta watch this on YouTube.
Yeah,
you're missing all the good content. You're missing the hats. You're missing.
My son does some dance now, and he does this afterward, and I don't know what it is. Some popular dance on Fortnite or something, but I don't know it. Anyway.
Yeah, I got nothing for you on that one.
Yeah, you'll get there.
Yeah, well,
still play Fortnite one day. Hey, speaking of Fortnite. John Cena's going to be on there as a new character.
He is?
Yeah.
And The Undertaker's going to be in some video game. It's not Fortnite. It's something else that I've never heard of. But it's another thing like that.
Yeah.
It's similar to that. So that's pretty neat.
Anyway, that was bonus content for you guys.
Yeah, well, that counts. That counts for Undertaker sightings. Let's start off with, I think I have them in chronological order here, things that happened over the month of July. On the Peacock, on the WWE Network on Peacock, this was announced, like we said, after we recorded last month's episode.
I mean, the day after.
This might have been my favorite thing that happened this whole month, but The Undertaker and the BSK, the Bone Street crew of Rikishi, The Godfather, friend of the show, Henry and Phineas Godwin had a table for 3 / table for 5, or really table for 4 1/4, because Midian didn't come into the last 5 minutes of the show.
Why did they start filming without him?
On a tight schedule, man.
Anyway, yeah, I guess. So
at least Midian came bearing gifts, though. I loved that. He came with the Yokozuna socks for everybody. That was killer. I dug that, man.
He got there, had his mask on, and Keish was like, "You don't have to wear that."
Yeah, Taker's like, "Get that thing off your face."
Or Taker, get it. And Keish had the ultimate or the Big Oos shirt on.
That was pretty cool. Yeah. I love Table for 3 always on the network, but man, this was pretty historic because we think about this, man. We got to see the Bone Street crew playing Bones on the WWE network. They actually got out the dominoes and played around famously.
We got the aerial view of it, which is nice. Yeah, like the Hell in a Cell cam or the ladder match cam.
It deserved it, you know.
It did. Yeah, no, that was awesome, man. It was just funny listening to those stories and watching them still just riff on each other too. Like you could tell they probably haven't hung out with Phineas and Midian in that long, and they were tight by then. But you just don't think about that. But like just fitting in like a glove, man. It was awesome to see, and just hearing some of the stories, and some stuff can be repeated, some can't. I'm sure there's a lot.
About some TV 14 this month. I think it started with this special.
Yeah, I think it may have. So, but yeah, it was good stuff, man. It was great. And again, just dude, how awesome is Godfather? I love that guy.
I love all those guys. Man.
Yeah, me too.
I would love to be a fly on the wall. I'd love to see the unedited version of this special. I wish it could have been 2 or 3 hours long, because man, I could have heard these guys telling stories about Taker giving advice to women in their profession, if we want to say that. But like talking about Midian crashing Taker's bike, like
yes,
at Taker's house that he was about to sell.
He's about to sell it. He goes to take it and crashes it. Oh,
he
man.
flies off of it and just like hops up. He's like, I'm okay.
Like nobody cared.
Yeah.
About to sell that bike. Oh, it's so good, man.
Man, and the story about Henry Godwinn and Taker being in the car and like the car breaking down and having to walk to the arena. That was some good stuff. Some good Paul Bearer content on
just
there as well.
Talking about how he just used to tick Paul off and Paul wouldn't talk to him. It's just, I love hearing those stories.
Wanted to go to the Chinese restaurant for so long, and Henry Godwinn's like, KFC? And Taker's like, sounds good.
Just to tick Paul off. Yeah. Because he knew Paul wanted to go.
Which sounds like something we would do with our friends.
Chuck. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. It made it more. I could hear us telling, not those same stories, but you know what I'm saying, just stories like that where we're just riffing on each other. It's just fun, man. They just seem like regular guys, dude. It's awesome.
They did, and you just fell into their old roles. Like you saw Taker kind of like being.
He was the kingpin. Yeah,
he was. He was.
Yeah.
Did you notice they never took a bite of any food?
Not one.
They had plates full of food and they never ate it.
It looked like some good food too. I would have been in it.
They did drink some Jack Daniels though.
Plenty,
without question.
Plenty of Jack. Yeah.
So definitely check that out on Peacock. Just very fun, lighthearted. Nothing, no breaking news or anything, but just some great stories and masterful storytellers on there. And like I said, just cool. Like this was a faction that was not really publicized. Like the Click was. Like I didn't even hear of the BSK for like years till after I heard of the Click. But now they've become. They were like a lot more secretive about their faction backstage, and it wasn't about politics or anything. It was about friendship. Right. And now, in recent years, it's come to light more, and they've embraced it more, and WWE has embraced it more and talked about it. So very, very cool to see.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, the information on that, the news of that came out literally the day after we recorded last month. So it's just like I knew it. So yeah, that was the first cool thing happening in June and July or July. So hit us with the next thing.
Well, then this one didn't involve Mark Calloway himself, but this set kind of the sports world on fire and Twitter a storm when at the UFC show this past month in July, champion, I don't know which division he's a champion of. I don't keep up with UFC anymore, but Israel Adesanya, I think.
God bless you.
Yeah, sure. He did a entrance inspired by the Undertaker, used the Undertaker's music, had not this hat, but had a traditional Undertaker hat, and had an urn that he carried out to the ring with him. And my man committed to the bit.
Yeah, and who was in the audience? Vince, Stephanie, Triple H,
what are the odds?
Pat McAfee with a neck brace. Like it was incredible, man. That he did that with Vince there. Allegedly, Pat McAfee said that Vince didn't know. Like,
I bet there wasn't. No.
Yeah, he said Vince didn't know, and he was like, and he said, because I watched Pat McAfee's show next week to hear him talk about it, and he'd say he looked at Vince and was like, "Do you know about this?" And Vince's like, "No." And he's like, "You're here for this, like it's awesome." And so Vince loved it, and I loved it because I don't know a lot of UFC guys nowadays. I just don't watch it like we used to when I literally knew one of the guys, Forrest Griffin. So watching that and seeing that and it coming out of left field, not advertised, but just like the next morning being like, what's going on with this Undertaker entrance? And like, man, that was awesome. Yeah, he committed to the bit, had the urn. It was awesome.
Never broke character, just like had his head down, walking with it. And it just goes to show you.
And he won, too.
He did win the fight. That would be bad if he lost it. But it just goes to show you the cultural impact of the Undertaker and the fact that that was on a major sporting event and everybody knew. It wasn't like an obscure thing. Like people knew what he was doing and they loved it. And it worked, man. That intimidation, like it works in WWE, it worked in the UFC too.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it was awesome. And that was probably one of 48 UFC shows that month. And that was the one that stood out because there's one like every 3 nights nowadays. It's ridiculous. But that one definitely stood out for the whole month, so awesome.
Did we ever talk about watching a UFC pay-per-view with Forrest Griffin? Did we ever talk about that on this show?
I don't know if we have.
We probably didn't have a reason to.
That happened.
Yeah, that did happen, yeah.
It was awesome.
At your friend's house, yeah.
Yeah,
it was
great.
He was tapping out people out in the yard.
He was. Guys trying to shoot on him, and For those of you who know who Forrest Griffin is,
Former
UFC
UFC
fight,
champion.
yeah, previous champion, and went to school with my brother and our older friends, and my old roommate in college. His mom used to babysit him, so yeah, just Forrest, cool guy, humble guy, great guy from went to the University of Georgia for a little bit too. So anyway, good guy. But yeah, we watched UFC pay-per-view with him. It was awesome. So yeah, he's one guy. It would have gone into wrestling. It would have translated so well. Like
he still probably could.
Well. He still probably could now. Yeah, but just a cool dude, man. So.
Well, another thing that was announced that we can't talk about yet because it hasn't happened, but we found out that The Undertaker is going to debut his One Dead Man show the night before SummerSlam this month on Friday, July 29th. Apparently, it's going to become a traveling thing, perhaps. I don't know if it's going to coincide with maybe sort of like major pay-per-views like this, or if it's going to just do like a few cities in a row or something like that. But yeah, kind of probably taking a little bit of his Hall of Fame speech and then doing some Q&A and just some of those stories that we heard, like on Table for Five or stuff like that. But pretty neat. It's going to debut in Nashville, and Travis, I'm going to be there. I got my ticket, so I got to get to experience it live and in person, and I'll have a full report on next month's edition of Talking Tape.
Yeah, next month's going to be full, next month's edition, because as this comes out, it's the night after, or 2 days after the pay-per-view. So,
right.
Yeah, you will be at the one-man show. We will be at SummerSlam together, so we'll talk all about it. But yeah, I'm very excited about the one-man show. I wish that my travel arrangements would have worked out for me to have come the night before and gone too, but it's not going to work out. But yeah, very excited to hear all about that, and I'm sure you'll have some updates for us before this episode even comes out, maybe.
Absolutely.
Online. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. So very exciting, and we'll have more to say on that.
But if you told me 5 years ago, in 5 years, Taker's going to have a one-man show like Mick Foley does, I've been like, no, he's not. Yeah. Nope, he is. So.
Yeah, we've seen him come out of his shell so much, and
I love it.
It's awesome. We'll talk about his appearance at Comic-Con here in a few minutes, but it was just more of that. But I think I know I said Table for Five was my favorite, but I think the biggest Undertaker event of the past month was his Biography episode on the A&E television network, 2-hour special on there. And we talked about this on last month's episode, just like we were excited for it, but it was kind of like, what else is there to say, man? After 5 episodes of The Last Ride and so many other appearances and podcasts and things, like what else could there be? And gotta say, man, I was happy to be proven wrong because this was excellent.
Turns out the secret ingredient was 2 words: Taker's mom.
Boom. That was it.
She is incredible. She stole the show. I want to see her on his podcast. Whenever he does his podcast, whatever it's going to be called on the network, I want to see Mom on there just talking, man. She was awesome. But yeah, like you said, we were kind of spitballing last month, like, what more could there be for us to figure out? But man, I'm super impressed, and we talked about last month. These are for casual fans that don't follow it, religiously like, us hardcore fans do. So, but I learned stuff, and like they had footage of him, like other footage of him that we hadn't even seen before, with like from wrestling early on, in Texas and stuff from Japan. It was awesome to see. And down in was it Puerto Rico or something? We talked about going down there. It's just awesome and all that stuff. And then just his mom, dude, the kitchen table. She just stole every scene she was in.
Well, they had some of the Memphis footage that we talked about on one of my favorite episodes we ever did.
Oh, yeah.
The main event Monsters episode. Yeah, they had some of the stuff with Taker in Memphis. But we kind of hypothesized about this last month too. Like, well, maybe they'll talk some more about his life before wrestling, and they did, and that was the highlight to me. Talking to his mom for sure, but then like they talked to guys on his high school basketball team and stuff like that. And we got to see some of his legendary hoop skills as he played out there with his daughter, played around a knockout with his daughter out there. So we finally got to see the Undertaker play dominoes, and we finally got to see Undertaker shoot hoops, man. Unbelievable.
It's crazy. Yeah, I don't even know what world we live in now. It's nuts, dude. It's crazy. So much is changing. But yeah, it's awesome. And some of the stuff was rehashed at us diehards know, but most of it, I would say, it's super compelling, man. Like, even to be just a fly on the wall, and or a casual fan and be like, oh man, this is pretty interesting. This dude's a big deal, and yeah, dude, I just can't put over his mom enough, man. Like, just that whole thing about was it Sid? So she slapped Sid in the face or whatever, and he told her she's never coming back to a show after that. It's just great. And then he was talking about his Hall of Fame ring, and he's like, "You glad I got this? Yeah, it means you're done or something."
Because you're done.
He's like, nothing about my accomplishment. No, it means you're done. So it's just awesome to see that he's still just her baby,
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't. I'm sure she's a fan, but he's just her baby, man. It was just cool to see. And all his brothers, they were all gigantic men.
Oh my gosh, I know. Imagine if they'd actually gotten the business or something
Real
like
brothers
that.
of destruction, yeah.
Right. Some great stuff with Michelle McCool and with his kids. Like, he talked about his kids a little bit before Michelle McCool, which he never talks about that sort of stuff. So, that was pretty neat and to see some of that footage. I saw some people complaining online, like, they really brushed over like half his career and everything. And it's like, well, number one, how many times we all know those stories. We really don't need to hear them over and over again. We don't need to hear about all the different incarnations. And like, that's what made this better than it should have been, because it wasn't just rehashed stuff.
Exactly.
And they didn't feel like they had to just cover everything. They hit the highlights, but they got a lot of his Mark Calloway story and and they bounced around and were able to tell some more unique, different stories that we haven't heard a million times.
Yeah, it's called a biography. It's not just a character study of the character. It's about the guy behind it too. So I appreciate that. Yeah. And again, I'm surprised they were able to milk as much out of it, because, like you said, we've already seen so much with The Last Ride and everything else. And all the Bill Simmons podcast and all these other things he's been on or whatever, ESPN and all this stuff. Joe Rogan, just crazy that he's still got stuff. And there's so many more things to tell. And the thing I love about watching all this stuff is that he's genuinely enjoying telling it. Like, when he was first coming out of 2020, kind of breaking the wall down or pulling the curtain back, and even when we met him, it's cool. But to see how much he's enjoying getting to tell these stories, I think Hall of Fame, we touch on that. Like, dude, that guy went on an hour-long sermon, dude, just preaching to people, and but just seeing these things, and I'm sure his one-man show you'll see would be just like that. Just to watch how much fun he's having telling these stories and revealing himself finally after 30 years behind closed doors, it's got to be cathartic to him.
Cathartic is a great word, man, because I think he's even looser now than he was on that Last Ride series when he was so open about everything. And I hadn't thought about that, but I think you're totally right. And that's a great word. And I think we've heard so many stories, but I guarantee you I will come back from that one-man show and probably have some stories that we've never talked about, because he has 30 years worth of stories from on the road and all that sort of stuff. And there's just no way we'll ever hear all of them. Yeah.
And in the last decade, when podcasting has really gotten big, 2012, 13, now every wrestler has one, but he hasn't been a guest on any of those until the last few years. So he's got all these stories, backlogged to tell. So it's awesome.
I got to shout out one other moment that popped me was him talking about his youth and when he was on the high school basketball team, and his team used to go to the Pizza Hut lunch buffet and shut that place down, and so much that they told him not to come anymore. Because when we were in college, me and my girlfriend used to go to the Pizza Hut lunch buffet 2 or 3 times a week, because it was $7.99 for a limited lunch. In college you don't have any money, but man, I used to hit up that Pizza Hut lunch buffet, and that was a steal. And I'm glad I had that connection with the dead man.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
Just made me laugh.
That's
hilarious.
He mentioned
that specifically. All right. Any other thoughts on the biography, or we're going to move on to the rivals?
Let me say this, though. So, Taker's was the first week. The next week's was Bill Goldberg's. And I will say this. We talked on here about the match from Saudi Arabia.
Oh, we did.
It was.
We talked about it.
And how Taker got his win. Well, let me just say this, boys and girls. Goldberg got his win back. And Goldberg's biography beat Taker's in the ratings. So Rubber match?
Be careful what you wish for, pal.
Yeah, no thanks. No thanks.
Got another Saudi show coming up this year.
But I just thought it was funny. I remember texting you, like, I saw the numbers. I was like, oh, dang, Goldberg got his win back. So
Well,
it was pretty funny.
Hey, it didn't get any ratings in the Dorio house. I didn't watch the Goldberg.
Oh, it's good, man.
I
Good
believe
stuff.
it. All of them are good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the A&E biographies that I've seen have been good, but
Yeah.
I just haven't had. There's been too much Taker content to watch, so because Taker was back on the A&E network,
Yep.
carrying this
The
network
same
on his
night.
back the past month with the no, this was the same
It
night
was
as
the
the
same night as the
Goldberg
Goldberg
episode.
one, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So a week later, he was on their new Rivals program, which is a companion piece to the biographies that they've got going on this season. And this was, something a little bit different, analyzing the Undertaker and Kane biography. It features Freddie Prinze Jr., Kevin Nash, Tamina for some reason, and Kofi Kingston, and JBL, in a room where they forgot to turn all the lights on. This is the darkest conference room I've ever seen. It's like one light bulb hanging on in front of them. Like, you guys couldn't afford some better lighting here, but they're giving some.
I feel like Aleister Black's going to ask people to knock at the door or something. Sorry.
You threw me off there. But yeah, they're like analyzing this and providing a little bit of commentary as we get clips and highlights and stuff of Taker and Kane's rivalry.
Yeah, and it's an hour long. It's short. It's sweet, but I enjoyed it. I'm genuinely positive about this stuff, but my only negative about it was that they just kind of talked about, when they got to the Bros of Destruction, they just kind of skipped over 1998 when they mentioned how everyone wanted to see him team up. When Taker or when Kane comes to save Taker, is it 97 or 98? Anyway, there's that little bit of a they're there for each other, and then they fight at WrestleMania, and then they kind of skip over them teaming up that summer and into the fall and stuff, and then the corporate ministry and this and that and the other. But they just kind of skip into like 2001 or 2000 is when they first team up, and I'm like, well, that is true. Like, that was when they became like the Bros Destruction. But like seeing them even in '98 was incredible. The whole thing with Austin and Vince and all that was great. So that was my only drawback. But again, it's only an hour and it's for casual fans. You don't need to go into all that. But dude, I texted you. I put it on our social media. Kane has the line of the whole thing for me, man. I've been saying it for 5 years that the Batman thing, and I've been comparing Taker to Batman and get as many Batman references and talking Taker as I can. And Kane said it. He's like, Batman has the Joker. Taker needs a Kane. So I love that. So he was not wrong.
No, it's something that, it's been a common thread throughout Talking Taker about a lot of Batman talk on here, so it was pretty funny to hear them actually bring that up. Very validating for you, Travis, I know.
Mm-hmm.
But
very much. All this work is paid off.
It's what 5 years of work has been worth.
I can quit now.
I think there's a Batman reference in like episode 1 or 2. I think it's from the earliest. Yeah.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah. It's very early on. Yeah, you're right. This one was more fluff, I would say, than the biography itself. I honestly could be skippable if you haven't watched it yet. Even if you're a hardcore Taker fan, you could probably skip this one. There's not a ton of new stuff or stuff we haven't heard before in this one. It's fun. Like, you won't regret watching it, but you won't miss anything if you don't watch it. They had some of that cool footage of Kane practicing Undertaker's moves like in 1997, and I don't think I'd seen this particular clip, but did you notice Jim Cornette teaching Kane how to do the Undertaker's sit-up?
Yeah.
I don't think I'd seen that before.
That's crazy, man.
That popped me.
Cornette teaching him how to do it. That's funny. But it just goes to show, too, again, we talk about it on here a lot, how, not to crap on anything nowadays, but like guys from back then, if you're a kid and you're wrestling, you could do those signature taunts, those signature sit-ups, the moves. You knew which wrestler that was. Nowadays, if two kids are wrestling and one of them does a sling blade or a Canadian destroyer, you could pick a name out of a hat as to who does that nowadays. Everybody does it. But like back then, so just to see the attention to detail that Cornette is telling Kane, no, you sit up like this. You turn your head, because he shows him to sit up and then wait a second, then turn his head. Like, you wait, you do it like that, you walk this way, and like just to see the attention to detail to how specific to be just like Taker. You know, I just love that. Again, we talked about it from almost episode 1 on here. Just the presentation that's put into this character from Jump Street is just it's second to none, man. It's second to none.
It really is. And just going back to what I said at the beginning, how funny that Freddie Prinze Jr. of all people is hosting a special about the Undertaker. I mean, pretty.
He's
wild.
got his own wrestling podcast now.
He does.
Allegedly going to start his own company. He says, but
supposedly.
Yeah, I didn't know because he craps on WWE quite a bit. I think on his show, but I didn't know he was involved in this until this came on. So. Yeah. It's weird.
And you just couldn't have picked 5 more random people out of a hat to be at this panel. Like Kevin Nash, all right, fair enough. JBL, fair enough. But Kofi and Tamina, not a lot of Undertaker history between those two.
Well, they're the panel for all of them so far. So it's just weird.
Again, that's so random.
I will say this about that show, Rivals, though. The week before that, so the night after the Taker biography was Sean and Brett, Rivals. And my wife, who couldn't care less about wrestling, was in the same room with me. She was doing some work on her computer, and I was sitting on the couch watching this on the iPad. And, like, she was asking me, like, okay, she was asking questions about it, like, what really happened? Because, like, that one is so real, you know? Like, it was kind of piquing her interest, but I was like, oh, good job, A&E. Like, you made her, you piqued her interest, and she couldn't care less. So
that's what you said from the beginning. Yeah, it's for the casual fans.
Yeah.
That just proves your point right there.
Yeah.
Well, probably not a lot of casual fans watching the Broken Skull sessions. This is more for the hardcore fans, Stone Cold's interview series. And, we talked about it every time there's a Broken Skull session. It's like Broken Skull sessions bingo. You're going to get Austin doing the hands, leaning back, doing the hands up. You're going to get him asking the guy, what do you prefer, working heel or baby? He always likes to talk about that. And, he's going to talk about The Undertaker on pretty much every Broken Skull sessions. But I have to say, didn't think it was going to come up with Sami Zayn on the latest edition. But, Travis, why don't you tell us what that was all about, their conversation about The Undertaker on there?
First of all, I wish there was a 5-hour version of this. I could watch Sami Zayn.
There probably was with Sami Zayn.
Oh, I know. It was like an hour and a half. I was like, they must have cut 6 hours off it. Because, like, dude, Sammy is great. I love this guy. He's so good. I do. Like, he's so quirky and weird. I love it about him. But seeing him and Steve talk was awesome. But
he's passionate.
Very much.
Very real passion about pro wrestling. And,
yes.
Sometimes it can be annoying, and he's not always. I've heard people talk on podcasts about how he annoys them backstage.
Well, that's why his character is what it is, because he annoyed Vince. Like, he was a babyface, and Vince is like, you're so annoying. Like, we got to put this on screen. And he's more over now as a heel than he's ever been.
I know.
He just had a match with Johnny Knoxville, and it was one of the matches of the night.
It was
incredible at WrestleMania. Anyway, but they talk about. I was wondering, how's Taker going to fit into this? I know they didn't interact too much. Taker chokeslammed him on SmackDown one time.
Right.
I think he came back and just chokeslammed him and then left or something. Yeah.
Right.
Was that MSG or something?
I think it was an MSG show.
Yeah. Anyway, but this came up naturally. I talked about his takeover match where he won the title from Neville, which was the same night that KO debuted and then turned on him at the end.
Great match.
Oh, great match. Him and Neville was great. The whole thing with Kevin Owens was great. Phenomenal. And those early days of TakeOver were just insane. I just loved the infancy of the network, the infancy of NXT. That NXT was just great. Loved all those guys.
Absolutely.
And all those guys are top of companies now. It's just crazy. But
yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I don't remember if he was saying it was that night at TakeOver in the gorilla position, or if it was the video playing beforehand recapping the feud, or if it was the taping before where he and Neville had that pretty passionate promo in the ring, and he slaps Neville in the face. I don't remember if it was the playback of that on the TakeOver or the actual taping that night. But anyway, Taker's in Gorilla backstage, and he's just like, that. He's like, did you guys hear that? That's how you sell some effing pay-per-views. And he's like, that's how you put butts in seats. He's going off, and apparently nobody hears him because Gorilla's pretty busy. So and Sammy's telling the story that KO is watching this from like the corner of his eye. He's seeing Taker get hyped up. And then Taker's like, that's how you sell some pay-per-views. He repeats himself. He's like, those guys just put butts in the seats. Like, that's how you sell some pay-per-views. That's how you draw money. And then people finally hear him. But hearing Sammy tell how Kevin Owens saw that. But KO, or Sammy talks about, like, getting that compliment from Undertaker, who I didn't know was going to be there that night. that's it. That's the biggest thing I could have needed. So, and he's not wrong. Taker was right. That promo, I'll remember that promo when he slaps Neville, and just remember that match at Takeover. So yeah, Taker was not wrong. He was having a good night, and yeah, what a feather in Sami Zayn's cap. At a young Sami Zayn, you know?
Yeah, not a lot of people can say that. You know,
No.
that Taker gave them that kind of compliment and paid them that respect.
At NXT, nonetheless.
Right.
You know?
And
that was at Full Sail, like 200 people.
Yeah, you don't hear about Undertaker necessarily being one of those guys that's there all the time and giving that sort of advice to the to NXT people. You know, you hear about it on the main roster, but not necessarily about NXT. So that's pretty cool story.
And I think Sammy might have told that story on like one of those BT Sports like online things, like back when the last ride was out or something. But he gets to really elaborate on it with Stone Cold, and just seeing Austin's reaction to it, it's cool. It's just really, really neat. I was like, yes, that's my Taker sighting for the Broken Skull.
Always, man, every time. And then I guess we'll close it out. This is probably the strangest Undertaker sighting, one that not a lot of people saw coming, but it was very, very cool that Undertaker appeared at San Diego Comic-Con last weekend. Yeah. And appeared at the Mattel WWE action figure panel there. The full video is on YouTube, so you can go find that. He comes out around like the 45-minute mark of it's like an hour-long panel, but you can kind of fast forward through there because there was an announcement of a new Undertaker figure set, kind of representing the 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw. He's going to be coming out with the gray gloves and with the big Raw letters like they used from around 95, 96.
The ones that Sabu jumped off of?
The ones that Sabu jumped off of famously. And he's going to come with the Razor Ramon and 1-2-3 Kid with the bag of money from, you remember that match, Travis?
The bag of money? Oh, yeah. When he runs,
what do we remember about that match?
Oh, when he flops off of the top rope? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember sitting in your room? Like, I had it on like a Coliseum video or something, and we just rewound it probably 15 times. And just like...
That was before Botchamania. So.
That was our Botchamania.
That was
just
our
rewind and play it.
Just watching 1-2-3 Kid just
we were just
crying,
laughing.
Yeah.
I totally recommend watching him appear because he is like, you talk about being loose, man. This is the loosest I think I've ever seen the Undertaker. Tommaso Ciampa is like one of the co-hosts of the panel along with Sam Roberts, oddly enough, and Taker comes out and Ciampa's like, Undertaker, you are synonymous with Comic-Con. And Taker's like, absolutely, absolutely. I wouldn't miss it ever. And
hey, there's a little throwback. Ciampa.
Well, they talk about that later on.
Just...
Tommaso's like, we saw the great figures, but when are we going to get a 2-pack of me as the lawyer and Undertaker? And Taker like laughs and points at him. But Taker's talking about like the legacy of Monday Night Raw and how back in the day, and he says, I'll call him local talent because, people get upset about the word jobbers. People who are woke don't want to hear me calling them jobbers. And he says, I don't care about that. You can't cancel me. Which is like, you're right.
That's great, dude.
You can't cancel the Undertaker.
Yeah.
They showed some
John Wayne, man.
You're right. They showed some new Head Shrinkers action figures, and that Sam Roberts asked him about, if that brought back any BSK memories, and Taker's like, absolutely, but these figures have abs. I've never seen these two guys with abs before. You guys really put them over with these abs. He saw Cody Rhodes' new action figure, and they actually had a sample of it.
Does it have purple chest?
No, not yet. I'm sure they will put one out like that.
Oh, they better, dude. They better.
And Undertaker said, if you let me have this figure, you can call me Uncle Taker. And Cody was like, you got it, brother. So then everybody called
I gotta go watch it.
Everybody called him Uncle Taker for the rest of the panel.
Oh, that's awesome.
They took some fan questions, and one fan came up there, and he didn't even ask a question. He's like, I don't even have a question. I just want to tell you thank you for how much you meant to me, Undertaker. And Taker called him up to the stage and shook his hand for that. Awesome. The guy was almost crying. Sure. And then Taker said, someone asked him, Undertaker said, I have every figure of me ever made, which I believe he has a lot of stuff. I don't think there's any chance Undertaker has every action figure of him ever made, because there's been a lot of weird stuff that's come out through the years.
That's crazy.
But he says his kids play with him, and like he'll step on them and find him in the bathroom and stuff like that. But he says he's got every. I'm sure he has a lot, but I don't think he has everyone ever made.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy though. Just to even hear him say, I didn't. He
wouldn't
probably doesn't
think
care about it. They just give them to him anyway.
Exactly.
But
Yes.
I know Jericho said that before in his podcast. Like, I get every figure I've ever.
Right.
Like, they give them to me, you know. So he's just kept them because he's a smart guy, you know. But anyway, I guess Taker's probably the same way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I just think about this, man. Like, this is a guy who, anytime he goes into Walmart or Target, he could walk to the toy aisle and see himself on the shelf, because there's always an Undertaker figure on the shelf, like pretty much always, like for the past 30 years, no matter what line, no matter what brand, there's pretty much always been an Undertaker shelf on the figure on the shelf. Like, how weird is that? Anytime you go into the store, you could go find a miniature version of yourself in that store.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can say that.
No, not a lot. That's nuts, man. That's really weird.
So, that's on YouTube. Pretty fun watch. And like I said, it's only about 10 to 15 minutes of footage of him on there. But he's having a blast. And he's like commenting on these figures and just really having fun being out there. So, pretty cool. And that's pretty much it. That's you got any other Undertaker sightings? Or did we hit them all? Anything else you want to bring up?
Unless he comes back at SummerSlam yesterday.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. That'll have to wait for the September episode.
Yeah. Oh, anyway.
Well, speaking of SummerSlam, I said we're going to move on to that. We talked about... wait. Before I get into SummerSlam, this is a Talking Taker follow-up or sighting. We got to mention something else that happened to the Talking Taker brand last month, Travis.
Okay.
We got a follow on Twitter from one of the Undertaker's former opponents and former foes, from a true legend, from none other than John Cena, giving Talking Taker the Twitter follow. You can't see that, but you can see it.
That's crazy.
Followers.
Verified. I wonder where that came from. Yeah.
He follows like 400,000 people.
That's fine. We'll be one of those.
That's fine. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, just sort of.
Yeah, that's pretty
random.
Cool.
Pretty neat. We
friend
can,
of the
we can
show.
Officially say John Cena, friend of the show. Maybe he's listening out there on set, doing Peacemaker season 2 or whatever. There's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's got to be a chance.
Exactly.
So yeah, let's talk about SummerSlam. Undertaker never faced John Cena at SummerSlam, but man, I was just kind of thinking. I was sitting in bed one night. I was thinking about Undertaker's SummerSlam matches, and I was like counting them up in my head, and I said, you know what? Undertaker had 16 SummerSlam matches, and we always think about, okay, what are Undertaker's greatest WrestleMania matches, and that conversation always comes up. I don't think people ever talk about the Undertaker's greatest SummerSlam matches, but there's 16 of them. We could do a tournament, put it on social media, have people vote about it. That'd be kind of fun to see what the Undertaker's greatest SummerSlam match is. So we did that over the past week or so. We did the Highway to Hell tournament and made some brackets for it, and thought we could talk about the results and just kind of give some quick thoughts on each match, and we can give our own opinions. Maybe they differ from the poll results of the fans, but just talk about his incredible legacy.
Only 16. I guess in my head, he's been there for 6 billion years. There'd be more than 16, but I guess he was off for a lot of falls. He
definitely towards the end.
Especially a lot of his career, he'd be gone all fall, and stuff. So I guess that makes sense. But yeah, when you put up 16, I was like, dang, to me that seems a little bit small. I thought it'd be like 20, but yeah, he was gone. Yeah, that part of the year for a lot of times. So,
well, would you believe that he is tied for the most SummerSlam matches of all time? 16 really? is the most. And do you know who he's tied with?
Probably Randall.
Bingo, Randy Orton, number
Randy.
1, along with Taker. And Taker actually has more wins than Randy. Taker has a 10-5-1 SummerSlam record. And I think Randy has only 8 wins, but someone else has more wins than Undertaker. He's got a record of 12-2. Any guesses as to who that might be?
Ooh, 12-2?
12-2 SummerSlam record.
Dang, that's good.
One of those matches is against the Undertaker.
Is it Brock?
It's Edge, actually.
Okay,
Edge
yeah,
has
Edge.
a 12-2 SummerSlam
Brock, that's
record.
too many for Brock. Yeah, Edge, okay.
One of those losses is to the Dead Man. Which,
wow, 12-2.
We will definitely discuss here. So yeah, what I did was I went to cagematch.com and looked at their overall ratings, fan rankings of each match, and made some seeding for a tournament based on that. And because I didn't want to make it random, because I wanted to have like the best matches actually get to the end. But it pretty kind of went sort of towards that seeding, but it's still fun to talk about here. So the number one ranked match on Cage Match in our first round matchup was Undertaker and Edge, like we just talked about, SummerSlam 2008, Hell in a Cell, up against Undertaker and Kamala at SummerSlam 1992, which actually doesn't have a cage match rating because apparently it's too short of a match to qualify for that. So I put it at the bottom of the rankings. But yeah, Undertaker and Edge pretty clearly walked away with that one.
How can a match be too short to not have a ranking?
It says if it's under 5 minutes or something.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
Because Brock and Goldberg from Survivor Series is 5 stars. It's like
sure.
2 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's the best.
I agree.
So, yeah, it's so good. Yeah. Anyway, that's crazy though. Anyway. Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, when I say those two matches, like, what comes to mind for you?
Kamala one I honestly forgot about, and I just remember those are fun episodes to talk about though. But I forgot like the actual match itself. I knew it wasn't going to win compared to Edge.
No,
because that
didn't
one
stand
was
much of a chance. There.
Dead ringer for the finals. Yeah, and we'll talk more about it later on. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that Undertaker and Kamala match, I don't think it was ever getting out of the first round, but
no.
I do think as far as entertainment value, of course it's not a great in-ring competition match, but entertainment value-wise, I think nobody played their character better than a guy like Kamala. So, and his selling of the Undertaker brought so much, and like it really elevated that Undertaker character. The way that he sold that fear, and the way that he sold that was pretty huge. Pretty pivotal.
It was.
Okay, the next matchup was the 8th seed, Big Show and Undertaker, the Unholy Alliance from SummerSlam 99 against X-Pac and Kane at SummerSlam 99 tag team titles. And that went against the number 9 seed, which I thought was pretty high rankings here, Undertaker versus A-Train from 2003, a match I know we did a whole episode about it. I don't remember a freaking single thing about that match.
I think I slept through that match.
Thing about it.
Me neither, but I do know that tag match is one of my. I ranked that real high on my.
It was in your top 20.
First half of his, yeah, I love that match.
Yeah.
It was a blast. So yeah, it's a good. Talking about fun, entertaining matches that have no business being fun. That match is a blast because X-Pac just runs the show there.
X-Pac is over. X-Pac and Kane are so over, man. Like the crowd loves those guys. So yeah, that one did advance, and I know you were pulling for it and voting for it.
If I could have voted 140 times, I would have.
It's an underrated match. I definitely encourage people to go check.
Don't sleep on it.
Next, the number 4 seed was Undertaker versus Stone Cold Steve Austin from the Highway to Hell, SummerSlam 1998. And that went up against the number 13 seed, Undertaker and Kane, the Brothers of Destruction, against DDP and Canyon inside a steel cage at SummerSlam 2001.
I love that match.
Don't think there was a chance for that one to make it.
It was for me. It was a toss-up. I'm just kidding. I knew Austin would win, but I was like, I kind of want Canyon to go further because we just love that guy. We love DDP. We love Canyon. I love the Invasion. I don't care what people say. It's just, those are fun times, man. So, but yeah, there's no doubt. Again, as we talked about the Austin match at 98, honestly, is not as great of a match as you remember. You remember the moment. You remember the build-up. You talked about the build-up,
the promos,
the video package, the promos, the song, the leg drop to the table. All that's fantastic. But the actual match is kind of because Austin gets concussed halfway through it.
Yeah, but I still got to rank it above the tag team match. I mean,
no diggity, yeah, absolutely.
If only for Undertaker's leg drop off the top rope through the table on Stone Cold, just an iconic moment right there, and that makes the match, even if it's not that great. Number 5 seed, Undertaker versus Mankind in the Boiler Room Brawl, SummerSlam 1996, went up against the 12 seed, Undertaker versus Kane from SummerSlam 2000. And, I don't remember much of Taker and Kane's match. I remember the moment where he pulls his mask off, and that's the big moment there. But boy, do I remember the Boiler Room Brawl, a match that was really ahead of its time.
Yeah, it was, and we got to watch it on TVs like your
That's right.
like your substitute teacher brings in. So yeah, no, that match is ahead of its time. Fantastic. That was a dead giveaway. That was going to go past.
Yeah, not a lot of upsets here in the first round, but yeah, you got to get.
I was upset Kane didn't go.
I know, you were pulling for him.
Who better than Canyon?
The number 2 seed was Undertaker versus Bret Hart. SummerSlam 97. Main event match there with Shawn Michaels as the referee for the WWF Championship. And then another main event match, SummerSlam 1994. Undertaker versus The Underfaker was the 15th seed. Memorability, I think they're both equal as far as matches we remember, but in-ring quality there, that Undertaker and Bret Hart, boy, they had some incredible chemistry, didn't they?
They did, and that match, we'll talk about it more in a minute, but I'll never forget that match. That match it's up there for me, man. Yeah, we'll talk about it more. It's a great one.
It's not the first great Undertaker match, but it's one of the first ones where you really get to see him show off what he can really do.
Their Rumble 96 match is probably better quality-wise, and we talk about that on that episode, but the storytelling, the whole summer 97, everything that goes into that match of Shawn. No. Yes. Sorry. Bret and Taker.
But with Shawn, it's all interwoven with each other.
All that is just beautiful, man. Beautiful.
Next up was a couple of fairly forgettable matches, if I do say so. The number 7 seed, Taker and JBL at SummerSlam 2004, and the 10 seed, Taker and Test at SummerSlam 2002.
I was pulling for Test to go all the way.
Why?
This was a test, just because I wanted to see if it was fake or not.
You wanted some chaos.
Yeah, I wanted like an upset, like an App State over Michigan. I wanted something like that.
Yeah, so. It was close, but JBL pulled the win out there.
Yeah, he probably paid somebody off.
It might have. It does have that memorable moment where Taker choke slams JBL through the hood of the limo.
The limo.
It's a pretty cool moment there.
Yeah.
The 3 seed was Undertaker and Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2015, and number 14 seed, Undertaker and Giant Gonzalez in the Rest in Peace match at SummerSlam 1993.
I will not talk about that. Let's move on.
No comment on the Rest in Peace match.
May that match rest in peace.
The
Brock one is the match, right?
Yes.
They're laughing at each other. Yeah.
I thought that one had a chance to make it a number 1. I really did.
Yeah.
And final first round matchup, Undertaker and Randy Orton in 2005. That was the 8th seed up against. That was the number 6 seed up against Undertaker and Kama in the casket match in 1995. And I tell you what, my vote went to Undertaker and Kama in the casket match. I don't think either of those matches are great, but I remember that match a lot more than I remember the Undertaker and Randy Orton match, and thought it was more fun and more of a classic Undertaker match. So that's the one I wanted to advance, but it ultimately lost to the Randy Orton match.
Yeah, I think that's a recency bias type thing. Randy's such a bigger star now than, but yeah, that common match was fun. So
yeah,
that feud just kind of was what it was. Randy's lasted longer, his stars shone brighter as that character.
I get it. Yeah. Sure. So the second round tournament went with the Edge SummerSlam 2008 up against SummerSlam 99, Undertaker Big Show versus X-Pac and Kane.
That was so hard for me.
I know.
So hard for me. Ultimately, I went with the Edge match just because of there's so much more that goes into it. The other one, tag match, is a blast. It's fun, but it's just you know, at the end of the day, the Edge one means more and a longer lasting legacy and more iconic, and the storytelling is better.
It got a tough draw here in the tournament. I
did
think,
it good?
Well, no, I'm saying like if it had gone against some of these other matches, I think it could have beaten
Gotcha.
them.
Yeah.
I think it could have been a Final Four matchup. You know, like I think if it was that match against the JBL match or against the Randy Orton match,
on that match,
I think it could have beaten either of those and advanced. But just a tough draw going against the number one seed match there. Up next was Stone Cold, 1998 against Mankind, 1996, and I was very happy to see the Boiler Room Brawl match advance because I do think that is the better match. Even if the Highway to Hell storyline is more memorable and more classic, I think that Boiler Room Brawl knocks it out of the park.
Oh, without question. And again, we talked about Austin and Taker have better TV matches than do pay-per-view matches.
Yes.
So, yeah, build up. That one was all a lot of sizzle, not a lot of steak. But then the Boiler Room Brawl was the opposite of that. It was great, man, all around. Yeah, just super iconic. And yeah, like you said, ahead of its time, man.
It really is. It's one of the first cinematic matches that we ever got in WWE, and very unique. And I think it gets better with age. The next quarterfinal matchup: Undertaker Bret Hart 97 against Undertaker JBL 2004. Really, no question here. What's going to advance? You know, JBL didn't have a chance going up against this match.
Nope.
No.
That's it. Enough said.
And then Brock Lesnar faced off against Randy Orton. So it's kind of cool. Two guys, Ruthless Aggression, two 2002 guys, two OVW guys that Taker faced at SummerSlam. 10 years apart. One was in 05, one in 15. And the Lesnar match gets the victory there.
Yeah.
And moves on. Any question with that call?
No. Is that the end of that match where he flicks him off or taps out or something? Is that the questionable? Yeah.
It's the questionable finish where... Yeah, Undertaker's pinning Brock, but tapping out at the same time.
Yeah,
so Undertaker technically wins it.
Yeah, that's right.
So that gave us the final four of Undertaker Edge 2008 up against Undertaker Mankind 96, and then Undertaker Bret Hart 97 against Undertaker Lesnar 2015. Pretty stacked final four.
When I saw the 16, those were the four. I was like, those are going to be the four at the end. So I just knew it because of how it was played out, how it laid out. I mean. So, and I can't disagree with that, you know, and those are great. And those seeds are great because I think the ones that wound up making it past this round are the two best. So,
yep. I mean, I think Highway to Hell could have been in there based on fan votes. And I think, like we said, that tag team match for SummerSlam 99 had the tournament broken other way. I think that could have snuck in there to the final four. I wouldn't have been mad about that at all.
Luck of the draw.
But, Edge... 2008 gets the victory over the Boiler Room Brawl, a very, very tough call. And I think, you know, again, maybe that one is generational too. Like two very unique gimmick matches and two very important matches in Undertaker's career, two great rivals there. But Edge ultimately got the victory there.
Yep. Yeah, it's that one was, I knew it was going to be tough for some people, but to me, that Edge match it seals it for me.
And then Bret Hart 97 got the victory over Brock Lesnar 2015.
As it should.
Oh man, I think that was a toss up for me. I love them both, and I thought Undertaker's performance against Brock Lesnar was so important in his career too, because it was coming off losing the streak, and it was coming off, you know, some not so great matches. So I thought that could have gone either way.
Yeah, well, again, my love for that Bret match is just as unrivaled. Well, we're only rivaled by the Edge match as far as SummerSlam. So, yeah. So this one, it was going to come down to those two for me. So,
well, those were the finals. Undertaker versus Edge, SummerSlam 2008, Hell in a Cell versus Undertaker, Bret Hart, SummerSlam 1997, Heart and Soul, WWF Championship on the line, Shawn Michaels as the referee, two main event matches, 11 years apart, and the victor of the fans voting, it was very, very close. I believe it was 52% to 48%. One match won the Twitter poll, another match won the Instagram poll, Instagram poll ended up having more votes to it, and so that match was Undertaker versus Edge, SummerSlam 2008. Got the victory in a very, very close call.
As it should have been. And yeah, this is where I want to talk about these real quick, because I've been saving a lot of my comments for this part, because again, I went back and listened to both of our episodes of these, because I know that those are my two favorite SummerSlam, two of my favorite Taker matches in the first place, and then definitely my two favorite SummerSlam. But you joked on our episode about Heart and Soul that it was Brett versus Shawn, and we were like, yeah, it basically is. But again, Taker plays such a pivotal role in that whole thing, where you got this match, and then you got Ground Zero, then you got Bad Blood, and then that feeds into Survivor Series with the screw job, so all of that. Taker is a player in that whole bit. And if you want to see a match that, again, I think that we mentioned it on our episode, the 96 Royal Rumble match between Brett and Taker is probably a better match physically. This one could have been about 5 minutes less, but the story is more important than the matches, the in-ring. The story of Shawn and Brett. Shawn was going to never wrestle, or Brett was going to never wrestle in North America again, or whatever. Like, it was just, the stakes were high. They had, there was that actual, there was the on-screen rivalry and also the backstage rivalry, and seeing that, and the ending of this match is one of my favorite endings of all matches of all time. It's just nobody. It's a Pat Patterson finish, and you only get one chance to get it right on live television. And when Shawn hits Taker with that chair on accident, Brett moves, and then Brett immediately covers him, and Shawn stares at him in the eyes as he counts to 1, 2, 3. He didn't want to do it, but he had to, because he didn't want to, give up what the stakes were for him. Yep. And then Shawn just rolls out and is angry and pitching the fit. Like, it was just, oh man, it is a beautiful story that's told there in that ring. Again, throughout the whole match, but specifically at the end right there, it doesn't get any better. Almost no better than that. So it's awesome.
And I would argue, I agree with everything you said. I would argue the storytelling with Undertaker and Edge is right up there with it.
That's the one that gets a little bit better. That's the one that, I said it doesn't get any better than that, but it does because of this match. I think that the Edge match takes it up one more notch. So you're right. You've got their story's been built forever, Edge and Taker, and they kind of have to take a break for a little bit, because I think, is it Taker gets injured or Edge? I think they both get injured at some point in there, but their rivalry goes forever. It's going to continue going. And this match is where, that's the summer of 2008 when The Dark Knight comes out, and when Edge literally says that in interviews later, like, I got this version of Edge from Heath Ledger's Joker. And like we talked about on the episode, he stops like shaving, he stops washing his hair, so he looks disheveled. He does that promo on the ground, laying down by the ring
with
and
Vicky.
And it is next level stuff that you wouldn't see nowadays. And it's just, they let him be him, and he had bags under his eyes, and he was just so consumed with wanting Taker, and Taker was playing in that story because him and Vicky were Vicky brought Taker back out of after she fired him to get back at Edge, and just the whole way it worked out, and the match itself is just genius. And there's callbacks to their previous encounters, and there's going to be even more callbacks in future matches to this one. And just the way it all comes together is, again, the only better storytelling from that Shawn or Brett and his match is this match. Like, it's beautiful, man. It is just an absolute work of art as far as both of these go. So,
well, it was the number one seed overall in our Creatures of the Night, our PSK Pod Street crew, as I'm going to call them from now on. They have they have reinforced that with their votes and added to that and established that as the Undertaker's greatest SummerSlam match of all time. Of course, if you disagree, if you voted for Bret Hart, or if you voted for something else, if you think something else should have taken that number one spot, we would love to hear your opinions, and be sure to let us know at Talking Taker, wherever you follow us, and let us know your thoughts on that tournament. But it was very fun. I appreciate everyone who voted every day for those and followed along with it. It was fun to do. Maybe we'll do that with some other Undertaker legacies at some different pay-per-views. We'll try to find his greatest matches there, but I think he really is. He may be Mr. SummerSlam, because
him or Brett, I think.
So many great opponents. Like, look at that list of legends that we ran through there.
A-Train,
A-Train, Test, Canyon. Lesnar, Orton, Bret Hart, Edge, Stone
Comma.
Cold, Steve Austin. So many great ones there. So many unique matches, tag
Yeah.
team matches, cage matches,
Rest in
casket
peace.
matches, Hell in a Cell, mid card,
Yep.
lower card, main
Tag.
event,
Yeah.
world title. He was all over the place at SummerSlam. So
Yep.
pretty cool stuff.
Oh yeah, it is, and that was a great idea, man. I'm glad you did this. It was awesome. So I really enjoyed going back and listening to those 2 episodes, and those are two of my. I just love those 2 matches, man. They're so good. You could write it. They could do a rivals thing on Edge and Taker.
I would love that.
That whole thing, because that carried us through the summer of 08 on SmackDown, while Raw had Shawn and Jericho, which again they could be like a rivals episode. Both of those and how they rivaled each other while
Raw.
rivaling each other. Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go, Andy. So.
All right. So, like I said, I want to thank all our fans for voting in our SummerSlam tournament there, and I want to thank the fans out there.
Rock the vote.
I want to thank the fans out there for asking some questions here for our final segment here on our 5th anniversary episode. Very, very special. You know, we celebrated 200 episodes a little while ago, and that was a big deal. But I wanted to take a little time and celebrate 5 years of podcasting, too, because that is, podcasts come and go these days. And I certainly didn't think or have any idea that we'd be here 5 years later going strong with Talking Taker podcast, me and you, Travis. I love it. I still love doing it here every month, even rather than every week. I still look forward to it. One of my favorite nights of the month is when we get to record, and I wanted to celebrate that and celebrate that legacy a little bit. We don't always put ourselves over, but I think that's a pretty big accomplishment here. Couple notes on that. Our most listened episode over the past 5 years. Any guesses?
Kane, WrestleMania 98, 14?
Go a couple months earlier than that to Royal Rumble 1998. Undertaker and Shawn Michaels in a casket match. Yeah, I don't know why, but for some reason that's our number one most downloaded episode.
Wow.
Undertaker himself on his 5-year anniversary. His competed, his debut November 22nd, 1990. He competed on November 21st, 1995 at Survivor Series 1995.
Yeah.
That's when he teamed up with Fatu and Henry Godwin and Savio Vega up against the King's Courts, Jerry Lawler, King Mabel, Triple H, and Isaac Yankem. And the Dark Side team dominated them. That's when they were all wearing Undertaker t-shirts. Mm-hmm. But on his actual 5-year anniversary, on the 22nd of 1995, he did compete at a Monday Night Raw taping, and I'll give you $100 if you can guess who he defeated on that night.
95? Ooh. I got no idea who it would be. 95. Drosy? Duke
Dumpster Drosy? No, not this time. It was Sir Mo. Undertaker had a one-on-one match with Sir Mo.
Who I hear is not doing too well nowadays.
Yeah, shout out to Sir Mo.
Yeah. Sir Mo.
Yeah.
Good night.
What a great way to celebrate 5 years of competing.
What a great anniversary present.
Apparently, he actually also faced Bret Hart in a dark match at those Raw tapings. So
there we go.
Slightly better there. And yeah, man. So just a couple 5-year anniversary thoughts there. And like I said, I got some questions from the fans that we can run through. It's just quick and dirty here. Let's see here. First up was from Clay Daniel, who was on our episode 200. He submitted a little comment on there for our Thank You Taker episode. He asked, what is your favorite SummerSlam of all time?
I don't know. Oh, man. Favorite SummerSlam? Shoot. 09 is really good, I think. Is that probably not my favorite? That one stands out to me. Is that Punk and Hardy at the in the ladder match?
Yes.
Kofi and Randy.
I think so.
I think that one. I don't really have one that stands out. Like as far as I don't know, 92 stands out, but it's not my favorite. I don't
92
know,
is
man.
one of my favorites. I
don't
love
know.
91 is one I always watched a bunch as a kid with Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect and all that stuff on there.
Oh, wait. Probably not. Maybe 97. 97 starts out with.
97 is good.
Maybe 97. It starts out with Triple H and Mankind in the blue bar steel cage.
Yep.
And then ends with Bret and that might be one.
That's pretty good. I mean, SummerSlam 98 is very fun all the way through. It's just like peak Attitude Era stuff.
Yeah.
2002 is great with Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Kurt Angle and Rey Mysterio.
Yep.
Brock and Rock.
Yep, you're right. That's it. Sorry. I didn't think about that. Yep, 02.
Clay also asked us, favorite wrestler that is not Undertaker or Kane?
Shawn Michaels.
That's my guess too, man. That's that's my go-to. That's what grew up favorite guy.
Sting made me a fan. I still love Sting. He's still wrestling like a crazy person, but I lost. I mean, I lost a bit of him in TNA and stuff. But so Shawn Michaels is the best, I think.
What about just favorite wrestler right now, currently?
Oh, probably. I mean, AJ Styles is one of my favorites, but as far as like a younger guy,
yeah.
I absolutely love Roman Reigns. I absolutely love Roman Reigns. He is him or Seth, man. There's nobody better than those two guys right now on TV. Sorry, AEW fans. There's nobody doing it better than Roman Reigns. You can cry all you want about him not being there and this and that. And the other. He makes you want to see him when he's there. It's important.
Oh yeah. I can't argue.
Nobody does a main event match better than Roman Reigns right now. So, anyway, what about you?
Man,
you don't watch as much as I do.
I don't, but from what I see in AEW, I really like that Daniel Garcia kid. I like watching him wrestle. I like Theory. He gets a lot of hate
Theory.
Online, but I think he's really impressive, and
he
I
gets
think
it.
for sure he's going to be a star one day. As far as really young guys, I mean, I still. Anytime Daniel Bryan wrestles, it blows me away.
Yep.
It doesn't matter who he faces.
Nope.
It's going to be a great match. That FTR always puts on a show, a great match anytime they're in the ring. Cody, man.
I love Cody Rhodes.
Cody wrestle no matter what.
I lost a lot of interest in him when he went to AEW, and I love when he left WWE and that list he made, and I loved all that stuff. In AEW, I lost a little bit of interest in him. Just I don't know, just because. But now his comeback to WWE has been one of the greatest things. Well, he won an ESPY. Beat the Undertaker.
He beat the Undertaker.
Won an ESPY. Congratulations. It was well deserved, man. When you're up against Taker's Hall of Fame speech, Austin coming back, and Big E win the title, and you win that, that's awesome. Good for Cody.
Jokerius Torrance, who was also part of our Thank You Taker episode, he said, would you guys love to do a Halloween video where all of us dress up as Taker and do a quick impression of the Undertaker? And I said,
absolutely, we will.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's no other answer.
There's no question. Yeah. Let's see. I lost who wrote this one, but I said ask us anything, so it's not all wrestling related. But said
perfect.
Adam Sandler or Jim Carrey, and favorite movie from each.
Just which one would I take?
What's your pick, and then favorite movie from each.
Oh, Adam Sandler.
Ooh,
I absolutely love Adam Sandler.
I'm Jim Carrey, man, all the way.
Oh, I love Adam Sandler.
I do too. But
Cajun Man. Cage is the best. I'd rather watch a best of Adam Sandler SNL video than a best of Jim Carrey.
I mean,
best of Jim Carrey on Colored Me Bad, or what was it called? In Living Color.
But I tell you what, that run of Ace Ventura, Mask,
Dumb
and Dumber, like when we are 8 years old,
9 years old,
nothing better in the world.
Well, I don't know, because you got Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, and you get
not on the same level to me.
To take questions, well, I think Billy Madison's hands down. Well, Billy Madison or Wedding Singer. Billy Madison, hands down, my favorite Adam Sandler movie. Wedding Singer number 2. Jim Carrey, favorite movie. One of my favorite movies ever. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. I can quote Billy Madison and Ace Ventura. I could have a whole day.
You could.
Only quoting that. I wouldn't even speak English. I would just only quote those movies and make it through the whole day and somehow make it work.
Dumb and Dumber.
I love both those movies.
Dumb and Dumber for me, for Jim Carrey. Adam Sandler, man, I honestly like talk about like favorite movie, like
Bedtime Story, so good.
no, one of the
So
worst
good.
movies I've ever seen.
So good.
No.
So good.
I'd say like 50 First Dates. Like I
Oh, I hate
always
that one.
like that one when it's on
I
TV.
hate that one.
Grown
I
Ups.
can't stand Drew Barrymore though.
I
Oh,
love Grown Ups.
Grown Ups
Man.
was one of my least favorite movies I've ever seen in my life.
What?
Hated it.
How?
Best part of that movie, best comment in that movie is when he shakes hands with Chris Rock. It's like shaking hands with an eagle. That's the best part of the whole movie.
So good.
So that movie sucks. I hate everything about it.
No way, man. And,
I absolutely hate it.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely hate it. But Ace Ventura is one of the greatest comedies of all time, man. It's just so good.
And then, I don't remember. I don't see who wrote this one, but kind of goes along. We had a couple of questions about this. Thoughts on all the changes going on in WWE recently, and then Sam Valenti. Well, Sam Valenti.
I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
I'm totally kidding.
I was about to say.
I'm totally kidding.
He also asked thoughts on Triple H taking over creative. So those are kind of the same question. What are your thoughts on all of this with Vince McMahon and Triple H and everything going on?
This has been a wild year. You know, you brought it up that 2002 is probably one of the wildest years in wrestling history. Just as far as the business changing and people who came back to WWE and them changing their name and them get to FL, all of a sudden, just everything that changed, all the new crop of talent that came in, brand split, everything. But this year, 20 years later, may rival it. It's getting up there, dude. We got Shane got dumped out of the company. You know, Cody's back.
Right.
CM Punk is a world champion.
Cody,
in
who
AEW.
went and started another company.
And then crashed the throne of Triple H.
Oh, yeah.
At their show. Like, yeah.
He came back at WrestleMania.
And beat one of their top guys 3 times in a row. Like, it's just incredible. And then, you got this whole thing with Vince and the allegations and him retiring and whatever it is. And he's gone. I mean, I never thought there'd be a day. I thought he would outlive us. You know?
He still might outlive us.
Well, I thought his run at the top of WWE might outlive us.
Exactly.
But, just him leaving, and then Hunter had to retire. And then Austin came out of retirement and had a match at WrestleMania.
Vince had a match at WrestleMania.
Vince had a match. It's been a crazy year for wrestling all around. You know, the Forbidden Door pay-per-views, nuts. They pulled that off, man. Crazy. Everything. I'm not just sticking WWE. Everything has just been crazy. Tony Khan buys Ring of Honor. It's just
right.
It's insane. Everything has been crazy this year, and it's July so far. And now Stephanie's the CEO. There's a Nick Khan's at the head of WWE and a Khan's at the head of AEW. And now Triple H is in what I think is his rightful spot, the head of creative.
We
can't tell me.
Well, we talked a little bit about at the beginning of the show, or before we went on the air, like about what is that going to mean? What is it going to look like for Triple H to take over creative? I mean, how do you think that's all going to shake out?
Well, first of all, it ain't going to happen overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day. So some people that complained about the most recent Raw, that only, it was the night that we found out he took over creative. Like, some of this stuff was plans were set in motion a long time ago. So you got to give them a chance.
They've got a pay-per-view in 6 days. That's
and they have the Castle pay-per-view like the next month. They've already got, it's going to be Drew and Roman or Drew and Brock, whatever. Like, that. So there's already stuff that's set in stone. They have to be up with. But I think, NXT Black and Gold from 2012 or whatever to 2021 when they changed to NXT 2.0. I still love 2.0, but it's not the same. But that run, those 9 years, NXT was my favorite weekly show. Like, it was SmackDown in 2016 gave it a run for his money, but NXT was bar none my favorite wrestling show. It may not have been the biggest names, but it put on the best wrestling product, and it was very reminiscent of a WCW, NWA days, great storytelling, long-term storytelling. Didn't have to see every person every single week. Vignettes, people mattered. Everyone on the show mattered, from the jobbers to the main event guys. Everybody mattered, just like the Attitude Era did. So I think we're going to get back to a lot of that, but it's going to take time. People got to be patient with it. But I think Hunter's got a great wrestling mind, and I think that he's a great choice for the top. So
I'd say I'm, I share a lot of that. I'm a little more cautiously optimistic about it, because I do think, for sure, obviously, things aren't going to change overnight.
No.
There's a lot of plans in place, a lot of direction in place. And I do think, as much as, NXT had a different voice and a different vision to it, I think there's just some sort of mentality with WWE, Raw, SmackDown sort of things that is sort of like, there's only so much you can change. Like there's this so much. NXT was kind of off, and it still is, off in its own bubble.
Yeah.
WWE, the main product, the main brand, has so many things that they have to answer to as far as sponsors and networks and brands and all this sort of stuff, live events and whatever, merchandising.
Yep.
I don't
TV rights stuff.
Yeah, like it is such a big machine that we're stockholders and everything. We're not getting back to the Attitude Era. Like anyone who's hoping for that and dreaming for that, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to become the same thing. It doesn't matter if it goes TV 14 or not. We're just not going to get back to that same place.
I don't even want to go TV 14.
No, not necessarily. No. Undertaker actually talked about that at that Comic-Con panel. He's like, someone saying a curse word a whole bunch of times is not going to make for great television. Like if you work it in organically and you make that word matter where someone says it that one time.
Ron Simmons.
That bingo. Exactly.
Yeah.
But he made a good point about that. But yeah, even Triple H, even if he wants to, I'm not sure he can totally change what WWE is. Certainly not overnight. Definitely, I wouldn't say for another, year or years after the fact. Like you still got other people on creative. You've still got,
writers.
I don't think Stephanie McMahon is that much different of a mindset than Vince McMahon. Like they're focused more on the brand rather than storylines and week to week television. And I don't think that's going to go away completely.
No.
People are saying like, oh, I hope people get their names back, or oh, I hope we stop with these camera cuts. Just don't hold your breath. Like I don't think all of that stuff is going to change. No. It's certainly not going to change overnight. If it does, but I do hope it'll be. I think Triple H has more of a modern day wrestling mind and is more in tune with things than certainly Vince McMahon is. Obviously, you can't question Vince McMahon's vision over the years, and he's had way more successes than failures. But I think just having a fresh voice that is not an outsider, that is a wrestler, that has been through the business, I think that's gonna overall be a net positive, and it could lead to some really cool things.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, all the people. I'm not clamoring for a big league NXT black and gold, but I don't think you were. Yeah, the success that he had at it, he knows what he's doing. But yeah, you're right. It's not gonna. I don't want that. I still want Raw and SmackDown to feel different than the NXT. And I want it to be more sports entertainment. But yeah, as far as just cohesion and maybe when a Karrion Kross gets called up, he won't have a helmet on this time and lose to Jeff Hardy in 10 seconds, or maybe there'll be a little more stock taken into that kind of stuff. In fact, Karrion Kross and Scarlett are still independent from what I know. So anyway, but some people are like, oh, I bet Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era are waiting to go back to 8. I don't think they are, dude. They moved on. I don't want them all back just because Hunter's on top. It's not about that. It's just he's gonna do the best with what he's got, So anyway.
There were some good memes online. I liked the one with Key and Peele, the sketch where like Obama's going to shake hands with everybody. And did you see that one? Where he's like shaking hands with all the NXT guys and everything, like basically like ignoring all the main roster guys. But like when he comes up on the NXT guy, he's like giving them hugs and everything. Okay, and then these the next few questions, we got some podcast related questions, which is cool. It's kind of what I wanted here. Mark Short, who is always loyal and interacting on Facebook, always giving us great props and everything over on Facebook, said congratulations on 5 years. Never had a bad episode in that time. I appreciate that. He said, do you have a favorite episode over the past 5 years?
Well, man, one of my favorites was one of the first ones that was at International. Was it International Incident or it was the one that got deleted and then we had to we lost it, then we had to redo it.
See, I don't remember which one that was.
I don't remember what. Yeah, it was. I was sitting outside and there was bugs chirping all around me. And it was early on, something in 97, I think,
Yeah.
98. But it was, man, it was a blast. Like, I remember that one just being off the rails. Like, we started talking about Tim Allen and Woody, and it was just I don't know, man. It was nuts. That was fun.
And I lost
but,
no one ever heard it besides
well,
us.
but the one we redid when we found we lost, it was still a blast. Like, we still had a good time with it, and I do love that one. But I love the ones when we got to do them live together.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
The 100th, was it the 100th one we did? Was
we did
WrestleMania 20?
Yeah.
Just the way that worked out, man, was insane. Like, that we got to be together to do that one, and then the one, it would have been. It was as an Edge match. We were together at Mania in March when we met Taker right before COVID.
That was WrestleMania 24. Yeah.
Yeah. So those were really good. And then the last episode, well, supposed to be last episode,
right? Of course.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I really enjoyed those.
Yeah,
it's just a different vibe, you know.
I really enjoyed the first time we did the Royal Rumble watch along. It was 97.
Oh yes,
and that was
a blast.
You came up. It was like January or February 2018. It was my birthday. You came up and spent the weekend, and we recorded like 3 episodes, and we did that one just because kind of like an experiment, because we weren't originally covering the Royal Rumbles,
right?
Because there wasn't a lot of storyline stuff to talk about. But we're like, well, let's just give it a shot. You know, Conrad always does watch-alongs on his show. We'll see how it is, and if it sucks, you know, we won't post it. But man, we just had a blast, and then we did Rumble watch-alongs forever after that.
That was our first watch-along. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, and then we did some Goldust matches too, I think, or a Mankind and Goldust match at your house too.
Right.
That too. But yeah, those were our first like actual in person. But yeah, that one, that Rumble 97 with the crazy, like, all the guys
luchadors. Yeah. We had no idea what their names were.
Honestly, the Royal Rumble 01, when my daughter is going nuts and I'm having to
have we like
secretly
said like what's happening there?
Yeah,
I don't even know if like people know. I don't even know if we talked about it on there, but like
I don't know.
Just to talk about it.
Well, yeah, it was Royal Rumble 01 watch along. I'm on my couch in our old house, and my daughter is very young. I mean, just less than a year old. I'm holding her. My wife's asleep, and she was quiet watching podcasts. And then
did quite a bit. Like,
yeah. That was.
You could often hear your daughter making noises in some episodes from around that time.
But she was losing her mind this night, and I was trying to watch along. So we can't pause what we're doing because we'll lose you guys. So I have to. I muted me, and I walked into the kitchen, made her a bottle. Warmed it up, shook it up while I'm watching with you, trying to come back in and out, making comments so that, you know, I don't sound like I'm distracted. You're trying to carry that part of the match because it's kind of like, you know, I'm concussed, you know, in the Highway to Hell match, and you're carrying it while I'm out. So, and then I get the bottle back in her mouth, and I sit down on the couch, and we just move on like nothing ever happened.
You did.
Yeah, that was a fun night.
a real pro, man.
If we'd had the video back then, it would have been something else.
That's true. Man, I gotta give a shout out. Like, honestly, everything we've done in the past year, where we've been like the monthly episodes, these have been some of my favorites. Like like I said, the Memphis episode.
Oh,
the Japanese.
My stories is up there.
The Japanese Royal Rumble. The draft with Turco, dude, that was so much fun. All those sort of like offshoot episodes, like the ECW episode or the fantasy opponents episode, like things like that. I always have really enjoyed those. As far as favorite episodes, Mike Prue, Bottom Line Wrestling Cast, a very, very good friend of the show, brother podcast, said, what is one episode that after you finished recording it, you came out of it thinking the topics and the match covered were much more fun to discuss than you thought that they would have been? And he said he'll hang up and listen for the answer.
I can tell you which ones were brutal, and that was the Ken Anderson ones, or Mr. Kennedy ones. We still had some fun with it, but I wasn't surprised at how, like, I was like, these kind of suck. And the Big Show ones, I think I had more fun making fun of that run of like 4 Big Show matches in a row. I think I had more fun making fun of all that stuff.
I think that's what he's asking.
Yeah, like those were brutal to go into, and when we came out, I was like, this was kind of fun. But the Kennedy ones, I think that I still just don't like Kennedy. So,
yeah. I mean, that's what I was gonna say. It was recently I went back and listened to some of those Mr. Kennedy episodes because Collecting Dead Man, Steven Zeman, he did watch along. Him and Randy Turco are doing watch alongs for every of the Undertaker's gimmick matches throughout history. Ooh. Every type of gimmick match. So they did the last ride matches with JBL and Mr. Kennedy. So I listened to their watch along, then I went back and listened to our episodes about them, and some of those Kennedy feud, there was so much funny stuff going on with Teddy Long,
the MVP and Teddy,
so much good stuff, man. I was like laughing listening back to us. I didn't remember it, but there was some great clips of Teddy Long in there, and so much funny stuff that I really enjoyed hearing us talk about those. So stuff like that, you know, we always have found a way to enjoy our conversations about the matches, even if the matches themselves are brutal. And sometimes those are the best episodes because we can like actually riff.
Exactly. Some of the ones where we're super excited for about the match and we love the match. It's almost like too passionate about it to make fun of it.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
But
like, seriously.
I remember one of my favorites I'll listen to once a year is golly, it's Taker versus Ron Simmons.
Yep, I knew you were gonna say it. Yep.
That one, I mean, the storyline is this: Farouk, you're the number one contender. All right, that's it, and that's the whole storyline. But that episode is one of my favorites.
You got Ahmed Johnson running wild. The cheek.
The cheek is on the loose. There's a lot of racist stuff going on.
Yes.
Yeah. There's the White Knight. It's just, it is a lot of cool stuff. That episode, go check that out, you guys, if you haven't.
I'll throw a question in from Alex Dorio.
Alex
Dorio.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yep. I think you've ranked the Batman movies before, but I don't think we talked about The Batman with Robert Pattinson. So that's the most recent Batman movie, man. Travis, give us your thoughts on that, because I got to admit, I never watched it.
I enjoy the different take on it. Batman's my favorite superhero, my favorite comic book character. I love the character, all the iterations of it. I enjoy the different take on it where he's a detective. I really like the storyline. Really like Pattinson. Pattinson did a great job as him. I know people are like, it's the Twilight guy. Dude, he can act, and he's a really good actor. Once he got past Twilight, he's really good. He did a good job. I liked the casting they did, but I was very disappointed in the language of it. Batman's great. If it's campy or if it's serious and dark and gritty, you can still take your kids to see it. This one was brutal with the language. I'll never take my kids to see it, so I'm upset about that. They kind of soured Batman for me. So I will tell you that's a thumbs down for me as far as that. I probably won't ever watch it again, but I would recommend it if you're a Batman fan. See it. It's a good storyline, really good storyline, and you get to see Batman be more of a detective than probably ever before. Which is he's supposed to be the world's greatest detective, so it's nice to see that aspect of him play out on TV. Probably could have cut about 30 minutes out of the movie, and it would have been all right too. But it's hard for me to say because I would usually love more Batman. But it's a good storyline. They did a good job for the story, I will say.
Now I know,
and they changed some things from canon too, but not in a way that makes me upset. Sometimes when they change stuff, it's like, oh, why would they do that? No, these are like, whoa, that's a cool take on that. I love what they did with that. So that was neat. Now, anyway, go ahead.
I know there's another Joker movie coming out. Is there what's the plans for Batman? Is there another Pattinson movie coming out? Have they announced that?
Matt Reeves is doing Batman too.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and there's a deleted scene for it online that they released like the week after the movie with the Joker in it, where Joker and Batman interviews Joker. I'm like, why wasn't this in the movie?
Yeah.
So it's great. Dude did a great job. But anyway, whatever. So yeah, I'll give it a thumb in the middle.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And let's end it with our buddy Pokey's little dog, Randy Turco. He asked about Yes,
Gotta end it with Turco.
asked a few questions, asked about any SummerSlam content coming our way, and of course we'll talk about that on next month's episode, our trip there. I'm going to try to vlog while we're there and get some video footage for the Talking Taker YouTube channel as well. He asked who our favorite podcast guest has been over the past 5 years, kind of fishing for a compliment there.
Good father.
But said he asked about favorite episodes recorded. We kind of talked about that, and then said, at 5 years in, Undertaker himself was kind of just hitting his stride, and there were still many changes to come for him. How about the podcast? Where do you see Talking Taker in another 5 years? Still going? Maybe on NBC live after Saturday Night Live, or after Raw in La Femme Nikita's old spot?
Ooh. Ooh.
I just thought it'd be fun to end with that, man, because I think if you had asked us in 2017 where we'd be in 2022, honestly never could have predicted, man. Like our just not just podcast wise, like our lives, you and I, we've both had children born since we started this podcast. We've both moved. I've moved a couple times, couple different houses.
Yeah.
We've both started different jobs, completely different jobs. I think I've had like 5 or 6 different jobs since we started the podcast. That's another story. And then, you know, we've made fans, we've met fans, we've met the Undertaker himself. He signed a poster of our logo. He said your catchphrase.
Yep.
We have it on recording. It begins every episode. Just so much cool stuff has happened, and like we said, we kind of started this at the perfect time with the Undertaker's career, because we thought it was over, and yet there's been so much awesome stuff that's happened in the 5 years. Like, honestly, we couldn't have started it at a better time.
Right.
I don't think. I can't even predict what we'll be doing 5 years from now. If there will still be a podcast, will people still listen to podcasts? Who even knows?
We might be virtual reality at that point.
Yeah, we'll be in the metaverse.
The metaverse. So, yeah. No, I mean, maybe I'll have a sequel to Take Her Easy, the song, by then. So, who knows? That was fun. If you told me 5 years ago, I would have written a parody of Take It Easy and sung it live at a concert. I'd have said no. So, that's funny. Yeah, no, I had no idea. I thought we'd be done with these matches and then be done, and that was the plan, but then having fun doing it and still coming back and doing it. And I guarantee you this, we couldn't do it weekly now. If we were still doing weekly ones, there ain't no way I could keep up with it, and just with my life now, and you probably not either because of having a newborn. So
yeah,
it's a lot. Takes a lot of effort and time. I think it was a sweet spot we hit. There's a lot of research. A lot of research for some of these matches, especially Attitude Era. It was a lot to watch every week and keep up with. So,
yeah. I was going to ask you, like, what do you think was the biggest challenge in doing this over the past 5 years? And
just that, being able to find the time to, amongst the busy schedule I have and having kids and because again, I don't like to just put my kids in another room and say, guys, I got to research Talking Taker. I mean, I do it when they all go to sleep. You know, I got some time with wife too, so it's just like as late nights, you know, taking notes and this and that, and then sharing them with each other, making sure we are good to go. But yeah, you've done all the editing and all that stuff. You're the techno wizard on all this stuff, so I couldn't do any of that stuff. But the biggest challenge was just timing, trying to make sure we got our deadlines in by each week and could record every Tuesday for a Friday episode drop. So that was the toughest part. But like I said, I ain't no way I could do that nowadays. So
yeah, you know, those first 10, 12 episodes or so, maybe more than that. Like, we were recording 2 at a time. Like, it's your job.
Yeah, because I was off every other week. Yeah.
You couldn't really. You were working 1 week, off 1 week, and the weeks you were working, you really couldn't record.
Yeah.
And that was fine because there wasn't so much to research.
Yes.
There wasn't so much stuff to look at. So we would record these, 20, 30-minute episodes, 2 at a time, bang them out. And I'd have plenty of time to get them edited and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then sort of like once we get into 96, 97, and we really started, not taking it seriously, because we were always taking it seriously, even if it was just
there was
for
more
fun.
content to cover.
There was just so much more to cover, and we wanted to really get every aspect of it covered. We originally were just doing the pay-per-views, but there was like, man, there's so much stuff on Raw and then on SmackDown where it was like we're sometimes cranking through 4 to anywhere to like 10 or 12 episodes of Raw and SmackDown if like there was a big chunk where he wasn't on a pay-per-view or something. And man, there were a lot of weeks where it was like, down to the wire, like trying to get this stuff watched and trying to get stuff done. But I'm pretty proud. Like we really, maybe 2 or 3 times did we ever miss having the episode come out on Friday over 5 years. And some of that, it was recorded, but I messed up the record. I tried to have it all done, but sometimes the computer screwed up, or I some personal error, and I deleted the episode, or just wasn't able to get it up there. But out of 200 episodes, we got probably 195, 96 of them out there, on schedule. And that was a lot on you too, because I wanted to I brought up taking a break kind of in between before it became out as the Biker Taker, and you were like, "No, man, let's just keep going. Every week, let's knock it out." And I was like, all right, I guess we're doing this. We're locked in. I wasn't sure. There's probably times where I thought, I don't know if we'll ever get to the end of this, but man, you were always committed to it.
Yeah, it was tough, but I'm glad we did it, man. I didn't want to flake out on stuff. But I got a question from Travis White.
Yeah.
Dadgummit, I just forgot it. Never mind, keep talking. Oh, no, I know what it was. All right, what is your favorite song at the end that you put on? Because again, true story. I have no suggestions for them. I think maybe one time I suggested one, but those were always a treat for me as I listen back, listening to the clips you're going to put onto it and listening to the song you put on at the end. What is your favorite song you put on at the end?
I think the first time I ever did it was one of the Goldust matches, and you talked about Goldust Woman from Fleetwood Mac. And I think I threw that there on at the end just as a little joke, and then I started. Yeah. I thought, oh yeah, that'd be fun to do.
It's great.
Every week.
One of my favorite parts.
This might be obscure, but my favorite one that comes to mind is Survivor Series 2001, where I'd put Civil War by Guns N' Roses. I just
that was a good one.
That's one of my favorite songs. Like that song, like I love that song, and I think I had heard it on like my running playlist like the couple weeks before, and I just knew it was like, yep, that's it. That episode, and I had it banked up a few years before that one, and I think I did Glory Days for WrestleMania 20 for 2004. So I'm going back to the Glory Days, and that was one I thought of like a few weeks before, like because I'm a huge Bruce Springsteen fan. Yeah, and I was like, I'm always thinking about how to get. I want to have different people, different things on there. I was like, I got to get a Bruce song in here sometime, and I thought of that one a few weeks before. So
that's awesome. Yeah, again, my favorite, just no questions asked, is, again, I like, not necessarily my favorite song, but the one that popped me the most when I heard it, and I was like, there's no way, is Devil's Haircut. That was, it got me so good.
And that was
I heard the opening to Devil's Haircut.
Was that WrestleMania 28 where he comes out with the short hair for the first time?
Yeah, he cuts his hair in the background. Yeah, that when I heard Devil's Haircut, he couldn't have been more on the money than that. So that was amazing. So anyway.
You got to listen. You got to listen to the end every week to hear the songs on there. And it's a fun thing to think about. Sometimes that stresses me out more than anything else.
Oh, I know it does.
I don't. Sometimes they just come, like it's obvious what it's going to be, and then sometimes that's the last thing I'm doing. It's like come up with a song. Some of them are better than others, but some of them are stretches. But
that's good.
I appreciate when anybody notices them. And I gotta say, we appreciate every single one of you who listen week to week, our hardcore fans, people who come in randomly. We appreciate all of you. Any of you who've been a part of this for the past 5 years, we wouldn't keep doing this if nobody listened. We didn't start it thinking anybody would listen, but I don't think we would have finished it if nobody out there listened. So you guys kept us going, and we appreciate it. And we are going to keep going. We texted the other night about what we're going to do throughout the end of 2022 here. So we've got at least a few more months of episodes, and I know I've got some other ones on the back burner for us to do in 2023. We know the Undertaker's still going to be around, still making news, so we'll keep this podcast rolling until the tires fall off on our time traveling hearse here.
That's right. And I want to shout out to a new listener we've got. Like you said, I'm always excited when we get more than 2 downloads for any episode. So one going to your phone, one going to my phone. So
right.
But anyway, we got a new listener, and he just went to his first pay-per-view, and his name is
Oh,
Aiden. So
what's up,
yeah, so
Aiden?
he will be at SummerSlam with us. He was supposed to be listening to Talking Taker most of the way there, according to his mom. So his mom Desiree works at Delta Blues, which is where I play, or Delta Blues Barbecue in Bristol, which is where I play a lot of my concerts. She's great, and her son Aiden has re-fallen in love with wrestling recently, and
That's great.
he wrestles like amateur, like in the kids league. But anyway, he loves WWE, and a few months back, I texted her. I was like, hey, like SummerSlam's in Nashville this year, and she was like, I had no idea. I was like, yeah, tickets are on sale or going on sale, whatever like that. So you just if you want to take him, she's talking about wanting to take him and stuff. So anyway, so she wanted to get him tickets for his birthday, and I'm so excited that I'm not trying to take any of the glory for it. I'm just glad that I was able to have a little part in that. He gets to go to his first wrestling pay-per-view, and it's in Nashville, and so yeah, she's taking him there. I guess with his drops will already have been there, but yeah, and I posted today, I shared the Ask Anything. She's like, I had no idea you had this podcast. So yeah, she immediately texted me. He was listening to episode 200, I think. Was that the moments and
That was the Thank You Taker.
thank you. I think that was the one who listened to. Anyway,
no. Wait a minute. That was 199. What was 200?
Yeah, 200. It was I think it was the oh golly, it was the top.
Top
Twin
entrances.
Taker entrances and Hall of Fame reactions. Yeah. She said he was listening to that. I mean, immediately, and she said he's loving it. So,
That's great,
thank you,
man.
Aiden, for listening. Hope you listened on
cool.
the way to Nashville and back. So, yeah.
Well, not trying to one up you. It's not a one up, but he's not a listener. But one of my friends, her name is Kelsey, and you know her, Travis. She's married to Robert. We used to be work with her in Young Life, back from Lakeside. I don't think I'm talking out of turn when I'm saying this, because I'm not violating any HIPAA violations or anything. But she actually works in the hospital in Columbia, South Carolina, the same hospital that our buddy, or not our buddy, our boy Hacksaw Jim Duggan is receiving his cancer treatments that he posts about on Instagram and everything. And he asked her if she knows anybody that likes wrestling, and he autographed an 8x10.
Wow. That's awesome.
So there it is right there on
That's
the YouTube
incredible
channel. So to Alex, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Hall of Fame 2011, which we were there for. We were there
yes,
in
sir.
person for.
Ho.
So we talked about him facing The Undertaker a couple weeks ago on our Coliseum Video Classics episode.
Across the pond.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
Shout outs, of course, always every month to Bottom Line Wrestling Cast. They have actually done sort of the same thing we have. They're coming out with episodes every 2 weeks now. They're sort of winding things down on the career of Stone Cold Steve Austin. They just covered WrestleMania 27, which we had the pleasure or misfortune of being that as far as Stone Cold's involvement. So check them out. Listen to their podcast at least. Give them some sort of reward for having to watch that. Watch Along Wrestling, Watch Along Tommy. He's putting some videos out on YouTube covering the 15th anniversary of SummerSlam 2007. I've been watching and enjoying those. Check him out. Collecting Dead Man podcast covering the merchandise of The Undertaker. I guested on his podcast last month, and we watched the Phenom VHS tape of The Undertaker from 1999. Very, very fun. Like you said, Travis, of course, see us at SummerSlam. We'll be around. We'll be wearing some Talking Taker merch, so you can find us up on the 400 level or whatever of Bridgestone.
300.
300. Okay, excuse me. We'll be up there at the top. Come look for us. Come find us.
I've already been up there at this point.
Oh, good point. Good point.
We're glad to see all. We'd like to see all you guys.
We love seeing all you there. And I want to say, be sure to pick up a t-shirt at tpublic.com, Talking Taker. I know Undertaker's got more autograph signings and appearances coming up, and the offer is always valid. If you wear one of our shirts and have a picture taken with the dead man, we will send you something very, very special, unique prize, one-of-a-kind prize in the mail. And
Section 310, by the way.
Section 310, come find us in the
That's
past if you're a time traveler. Next month, September, as we kick off our 6th year of podcasting, I guess, begin the 6th year. We were going to do it this month. We're going to do it next month unless some other breaking news happens. Can't believe I'm saying this. We're going to look at another Undertaker movie, Scooby-Doo and the Curse of the Speed Demon. WWE cartoon movie featuring The Undertaker in a prominent role. Lots of other WWE superstars. Hey, man, it is part of The Undertaker's legacy. It is something wild, something different.
Yes.
We got no more matches to cover, so we got to look for The Undertaker in some other ways. So that's what we're going to do next month. I cannot wait for that. Going to be something very fun, very unique in the Talking Taker universe.
It's on HBO Max, I believe.
It is on HBO Max streaming. So if you subscribe to HBO Max, you can watch it. It's not a watch along. We're just gonna watch it and review it. But you guys watch it.
Watch along.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Yeah.
Alternate commentary.
Yeah.
Travis, thank you for doing this for 5 years, brother. It's been a blast doing it, and I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Absolutely, man. Excited about it. Yeah, I can't believe it's been 5 years. That is crazy. But yeah, thanks for having this idea. I'm glad it came to fruition. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you were there at Taker's one night stand, what's it called? Taker's one dead
man show.
One dead stand. All right, if you were there with Alex, let us know. If you were at the SummerSlam with us, let us know. And we will see you in September with some Scooby snacks, I guess. So, yeah, have fun out there. Enjoy the new regime of WWE. It is what it is. And thanks to Vince for all that he's done for wrestling. You know, we're going to leave all the negative stuff aside. There's horrifying things that have happened probably or alleged, but we're going to thank him for he changed wrestling business, and he gave us this character right here, and we can't thank him enough for that. This is his greatest creation character-wise, so we thank you for that, Vince. Boo on you for all the other negative stuff. And ladies and gentlemen out there, enjoy all the good stuff and have a safe trip, and as always, take her easy.